Let's lock in. Gervonta Davis calls Artur Beterbiev trash and says he is not a Hall of Famer. So Artur Beterbiev's trainer made some statements about Gervonta Tank Davis, and he got in his feelings, and he responded. So we're gonna just take a look. So this is reported by Michael Benton. It says Gervonta Davis blasting Artur Beterbiev in response to a comment from Beterbiev's coach John Scully, who said Tank wouldn't get into the Hall of Fame if he retired today. Tank responded by stating that big, strong, goofy that he trained, not a Hall of Famer, or not a Hall of Fame fighter, and he's the A word. So I think he meant strong. Again, the R is missing. But look, there's a few things about this. One, Artur Beterbiev isn't the one who said this. It was his coach. And of course, I'm gonna see you. He made this statement in response to Tank going on about Bivol winning, and he said that if Tank retired, he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. Well, this is what I don't like about the sport of boxing, because the coach is saying this. The coach trains Artur Beterbiev, right? He says if Tank retired today, Tank wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. First, I'm going to defend Tank. One, that's not necessarily true. He wouldn't be first ballot. But I think Tank has done enough in his career where he would be waiting, over the years, he'd be waiting. And there's a chance if there's a class, there's an underwhelming class, or maybe even a mediocre class, right? He could get in. So he's only 29 years old. His career isn't done. His trajectory, though, where he's headed, it looks like he will end up in the Hall of Fame. So again, if he retired today, that's putting a major caveat on his career. That's putting some serious limitations on his ability to get into the Hall of Fame because he's only 29 years old. So you got to give him some time in comparison to Artur Beterbiev, who's 39 years old, 10 years older than Gervonta Tank Davis, and became undisputed light heavyweight champion at 39 years old. So you look at that and you got to say, well, give Tank 10 more years if he wants 10 more years in the sport. Who knows? Even just give him 3 more years, 4 more years, and we'll see where his career is when it's all said and done, which I personally believe he will be a Hall of Famer. Now let's get to Artur Beterbiev and Tank. Tank saying that big, strong, goofy, he's not you can say he's not talented, right? But to me, Artur Beterbiev represents a new generation of power punchers where they're not as skilled as boxers. They're not. They're not as skilled. They're not as talented. But they have high boxing IQ. So they don't waste energy. They understand punch selection. They have great punch selection. They know when to apply the pressure. They know when to throw combinations. They know when to go for counters. This is different from the old days. And they are more skilled than the power punchers in the old days. Because if you look at Artur Beterbiev, right, every time Bivol tried to take the play and throw those flashy combinations, he knew the throw in between. He knew how to time them. He knew how to counter them. He knew how to regain control and take control of the fight again, which is something that's completely different. So I feel like back in the days where, to me, it was generally, I always favored the skilled fighter over the power puncher. And Artur Beterbiev is almost the pioneer of this. With Artur Beterbiev, he's one of those rare fighters where I favor the power puncher over the skilled fighter because his IQ is very high and he understands who he is. He always says that I'm not a great boxer. I hope to be a great boxer someday. Like, yeah, I won, but I'm still not a great boxer. He knows who he is and he knows how to use his gifts, and his IQ is so high. If you notice, he knows when you throw a combination, you're tired. And I tell everyone this: you can't beat the punching bag. At some point, you're gonna get tired. The punching bag will still be there. So Artur Beterbiev knows you throw a certain amount of combinations, you tired. He knows when to get you. He knows when you're trying to rest. He knows when to jump on you. He knows when you're slowing down. He knows when you're getting weak. That's what makes him great. So yeah, you can say that. But at the end of the day, Artur Beterbiev has beaten several champions, 21-0, 20 knockouts. At one point, he had a 100% KO ratio. He's undisputed at light heavyweight. Before that fight with Bivol, he was unified champion. Like, the guy is going in the Hall of Fame. Artur Beterbiev is a Hall of Fame. And before that, he was a great amateur. He was a very good amateur boxer. He has wins over even Usyk in the amateurs. The guy, Beterbiev, he's a Hall of Famer. So, again, for Tank to hear the trainer say that and then say something disrespectful about Artur Beterbiev, to me, Beterbiev didn't deserve it. But the reality is, in both cases, John Scully, or Coach Scully, and Tank, they're both being disingenuous and they're both making false statements, because at the end of the day, Gervonta Tank Davis, if he retired today, there's a chance he could end up in the Hall of Fame. He may not be first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's done enough for you to consider. I think he was the champion in 3 weight classes, wins over Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia win, which now looks a lot better, although I guess it never happened. It got scrubbed from the internet. But he's beating some good fighters. So you can't sit around and act like Gervonta Tank Davis is. I think people really try to downplay Gervonta Tank Davis' resume. And that is unfortunate. And he did try to fight Vasily Lomachenko, and Vasily didn't want to fight. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, back in the days. Well, people talk about back in the days. This isn't back in the days. And don't try to tell me that Vasily Lomachenko was old, because he looked very good getting rid of George Kambosos, who's the same guy who beat Teofimo Lopez. So, and yeah, Devin Haney beat George Kambosos rather easy in both fights. But then he fought Vasily, and in my personal opinion, Vasily beat Devin and he beat George Kambosos. So don't act like Tank is just trying to pick on some washed up dude. Nah, he's picking on a Vasily who's still good enough to go in there and beat Devin and stop George Kambosos. Anyways, at the end of the day, they're both. I'm gonna make this prediction. I'm gonna go out on a limb and make this wild prediction. At the end of the day, Gervonta Tank Davis and Artur Beterbiev will both be Hall of Famers. Book it. All right, let me know what you think in the comment section. Hey, I'm close to 1,000 subs. Maybe perhaps I'll get out of YouTube jail and they'll allow me to access certain features if I can get 1,000 subs. So please, if you've been watching and you haven't hit the subscribe button, I'd appreciate it if you do. Thank you. Have a great day, night, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you. Salute. I'm out. Peace.